Eliz-sha Keatingon from wisdomseekers.net, emphasis on the .net. And we're here today with Tyhson Banighen. And I did get your name right?
Yeah, Tyhson Banighen.
And we are going to be talking, he's a master dowser, we're going to be talking about dowsing and what it's like to be an empath and what you can do about it. And we'll might as well start right away because my daughter just put up all your information.
Oh my goodness. Looks like a book.
Yeah, that's why I asked you if you wrote a book. Well, I figured I've not really known you well, but I've known you for a good 15 years. And I know that you're very well respected in the field, any field that has to do with spirituality, I'm assuming.
Well, one of my clients talked in a nice way. So hopefully that is true, that, I'm a one-stop shop to help you get from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest amount of time.
That would be nice, hey? I mean, there's so many new people out there now, and they're coming up and they have so many questions and they learn so much faster than I did. So I think they've just come in with a lot more pre-knowledge that they just have to remember. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, that's the group I like to work with. Call them the rainbow children or the crystal children or the indigo children or empaths. But those that are more aware, those that are forerunners, so to speak, of what evolution on this planet will look like. Well, and they arrive with, who put me on this planet anyway? This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So
yeah,
I sort of help take up the pieces,
a lot of sense to many people right now.
That's right. Yeah. I spent my childhood waiting for somebody to come pick me up because I was sure they dropped me off at the wrong place.
Yeah, I understand that. I never felt that. I just myself, but I always was different.
Yeah, right. Well, that's a good sign that you're empathic, or is if you feel different, right?
Yeah.
And know that it's really a big effort to try and fit in.
Yeah, I don't.
Of course, the clue is they weren't here to fit in.
Yeah, I don't think I ever actually managed to fit in. I was always
congratulations.
Yeah, now it's paying off now, but that's like 60 years later.
Yeah, well, the same with here. I mean, now that I'm 73, it doesn't matter. Even if I wanted to fit in, I don't care.
Yeah, that's true. And thank God for some of the benefits for getting a little gray around the temples, right?
Right. Well, hopefully we can make it easier for those that are empaths or are psychically gifted or have intuition or have Kundalini running. We can make it more easy for them to learn how to manage their energy field and take back their personal power.
How do you deal with the Kundalini rising when they're untrained?
Well, this is it. If it's untrained, then it can be overwhelming for people because they don't know what it is, and I think maybe it's a psychic attack or it's aliens or it's something other than spontaneous inner combustion that's going on. So helping people understand how to manage Kundalini, what's it about, and how to use it effectively and not get overwhelmed that somebody's doing something to you, and reminding people that other people spend thousands of dollars going to India to learn how to do it. Here you get this experience for free, right?
Yeah.
But it can be a bit overwhelming, right?
But the problem is with the Kundalini, with it rises too fast, I've seen it affect people in such a emotional way that they appear to be touched, I guess would be the best way to say it. They're balanced, they're out of balance.
Yeah, well, I think 75% of the population is out of balance.
That's true.
So 75% of the population is 50% or more not in their body or not managing their energy field. So if you added a rush of Kundalini to somebody who's 50% not in their body or 50% not at home, so to speak, then all that energy is pushing them right out of their body. So they're in la la land, right? in their emotional or in their higher dimensional bodies, and it's freak out time. Like, what's happening to me?
That would
So
explain some of the things like the mass shooting down in Texas and places like that.
well, I don't think that's Kundalini. That's just pure, unadulterated fear and wanting to fit in, and not having anybody understand who they are, and feeling totally unappreciated, and therefore feeling that they need to act out. And like a lot of those are on psychotropic drugs too. I mean, a lot of the drugs that are given for mental disorders are actually hallucinogenic or psychotropic, and really create craziness in people. So I think a lot can be attributed to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. A lot of it too is people, their bodies are changing, but the medical is not catching up to the changes in the physical body as well.
Absolutely. I mean, even myself, I have to go to the gym to stay totally grounded. And
so I think we froze.
As we go through the evolution of consciousness, the more we need to learn how to ground out what we no longer want to make room for the new energy to come in. Otherwise, we're in overwhelm.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I keep nagging about is that we need to ground, and absolutely ground. So I'd like to get back. I sort of went a segue, but I'd like to get back to a little bit more about the Kundalini raising. What are some of the symptoms, and how do you deal with it? Basically, my understanding is you need help from outside sources.
Well, I think that like any energy in the body, if you don't know how to manage it, then it's something that you will want to learn from somebody who has learned how to manage it. Basically, you're in charge of your energy system, so you can dial it up and dial it down. And most people don't realize that. They just get overwhelmed by the flood of energy. I was thinking in terms of, let me see if I can remember his name. He was, the person I'm talking about has written a number of books, so his name's not coming to my mind, but he was not very popular because wherever he went, he would fry all the electronics, because whenever he went into somebody's house, they would all pop. And he's followed by two angels that he's able to talk to. And so he was sitting underneath this light switch, and boom, it started on fire. And he just happened to say casually to the angelics that were with him, "So how do I stop this?" And they just said, "Well, just stop it. Just don't do it anymore." So again, it was learning that he has ultimate control over his physiology, and that he can dial it down just by sheer command. And so it's not something foreign to us. I talk about it as our inner shaman, that this inner shaman knows exactly how to run the body, and knows what needs to be done on all the levels, subconscious all the way through to super consciousness. So if you consult with that part of your being, it already knows exactly what needs to happen to solve any problem that has to do with your physiology. So ask and you shall receive. So if you need to turn it down, say turn it down. So no more to defry any more electronic equipment. I guess he was more welcome at other people's places.
Yeah.
That was Drumble, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, Drum. Yeah, I know who that is.
Drumble.
Yeah.
Drumble.
Lot.
Melchizedek.
Yeah.
So that was his experience, right?
Yeah, but he's a very high-powered shaman. I've never had that problem, but I think it's because my energy works in a different wavelength from electronics. So I should backtrack on that. My phones are all possessed. Every single one of them I ever get, they do very, very strange things. But computers, electrical, no problem.
Well, yeah. Well, the fact that your phone doesn't work means that you're emitting electromagnetic energy. Let's call it leakage, for lack of better terms, right? That's adversely affecting electronics around you. So again, either grounding you or grounding the equipment, or preferably grounding the equipment and myself. I have a friend who makes orgonite, and although I can't say it's orgonite, but it's orgone generators to ground the electromagnetic energy around computers. Exactly. Yeah. So that you're safe and your electronics are safe from your electromagnetic energy field as well.
Yeah. What did you say?
We have a friend that blows out electronics.
Oh yeah, we have a friend. One of my readers. She cannot. She lives in Louisiana, but she blow out my phone when she talked to me on Messenger.
Wow. Yeah. Well, send her over, and we'll put her through. Take back your personal power. Stand in your truth, no matter what. Which is basically how to manage your energy field. Which is what you already know. You know how to ground, how to dump energy, so to speak, all those different techniques. But basically also just being able to talk to your body about what it is that you want. So for example, 7, you don't know which is yours or which is your significant others, or what's your family stuff, or what's your family of origin, planetary, or then the galactic. You're running all these energies simultaneously, so then it leads to overload and burnout, which is particularly true for gifted people that are psychic or healers. If you don't know how to manage your energy field, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble really quick. So learning how to create the boundaries, how to take back your personal power and ground, and what we're talking about is
You froze again?
But he's frozen a few times and come back.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're frozen, but usually he comes back.
Yeah.
So you froze there. I'm sorry for about 2.
So I was saying that you can install a rheostat. So the client, and when I'm finished, I turn it off, right? I don't want to be overwhelmed by everything that's going around me 24/7, locally, planetary, intergalactic. I just want to be my personal energy. So again, you're in charge of your bioenergy field, and learning how to manage it is really important. That's what I teach people.
I do that. Yeah, I do that too. Otherwise, I'd be in La La Land all the time. It's all the readings I do.
Right.
So it just, but it takes me a little bit to come back sometimes from those readings. After I've done 3 hours of them. So.
Wow. Yeah. For me, I'm at the point where, for dowsing, as I call it, training wheels, right? For intuition or guidance on demand. Now I really don't use it as much, because as soon as I have a phone call from a client or somebody phones me, I'm already tapping into their energy field and getting guidance on what needs to happen. Although dowsing is very useful, like, is this 100% true, or, in a graph, is it this or is that or is it whatever? And so I can move through a lot of information quickly. So it's a nice adjunct to one's intuition or guidance, right?
It's a really
and actually can train people to get clear guidance too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's pendulums are part of dowsing, is right?
Yeah, pendulums are one of the tools. L rods, Y rods, pendulums are all different, like antennas on a bug, right? They just increase your sensitivity so you can pick up on energies that you might otherwise miss, right?
Yeah, and it's a good way to train yourself when you're on and when you're not.
Yes, exactly.
I did.
You pick up your tool, you're on, and when you put your tool down, you're off.
Yeah, basically, and that's something that most people don't realize that they can do, is turn it on and turn it off.
Exactly, or turn it up or turn it down. Yes, absolutely. Which is the same with the Kundalini. It's the same thing. It's part of our psychic ability. It's part of who we are, and we can turn it up and turn it down.
Yeah, and I worry about Kundalini energy, because I know of a few people who have practiced Kundalini yoga without having the basis of understanding. And so far, well, mostly they're okay.
Yeah, I think that, it depends why are you doing it, right? it's like anything. If you're going to run extra energy in your body, other than what you normally run, then why are you doing it? Are you wanting to raise your consciousness, or do you want to have psychic gifts, or you want to be in service to other people, or why is it that you want your Kundalini to rise, right?
Yeah.
That's the basic fundamental question. And if it's in service, then you're most likely going to be safe. If it's for some, ego satisfaction that you can do this or do that, then you're more likely to get into trouble, right?
Yeah. There's one person who did practice it. I was quite worried because that person was very high and flighty,
Mm-hmm.
and she's doing it specifically to become spiritual. But
Yeah.
I don't think she had the in-service understanding. I do have a question. Are you willing to take it?
Absolutely. And the more questions and the tougher, the better.
Okay, this is Lily Dulo, and she says, hello, what is an empath really about? Feeling for others or feeling events that have not happened? Many times I thought I was empathic and then was not sure when I was unclear. She's from the middle
Albania.
from Albania.
Yeah, both of those are indications of being empathic. Empathic is knowing the feelings of others, or having a guidance or intuition, and of course learning the hard way that unless people ask to know about that, it's none of your business, right? I mean, I used to think when I was a kid that because I knew I should tell people, only to find out that they didn't really want to know, right? So that's number one. And secondly, to know events ahead of time, that can get overwhelming. So you can also ask that not happen unless it's you personally are a need to know for safety reasons. So otherwise, with what the trauma that's going on the planet now, if I was forewarned about everything that was going to happen from, gun violence through to whatever, I would be overwhelmed, right? There's just too much going on. So that would be something I'd want to turn off unless it had to do with myself or my immediate family or friends' safety.
That's a good answer, a really good answer. So what is one of the reasons you've chosen to work with empaths?
Well, because they're planetary change agents. They're here to bring about change and transformation on the planet. The mere fact that they're not here to fit in, and never have or never can really fit in. I mean, they can play a game and play it well, in business or in government or whatever, but they always know that there's something more, there's something lacking, there's something extraordinary about who they are and why they're here. And they're not satisfied until they really understand what their divine gifts are and why they incarnated. And once they know what their divine gifts are and why they incarnated, then helping them deliver those gifts to the planet as part of the wake-up call for the planet. So they're really what I would call doulas for the new Earth, right?
Oh, that's a good one. So I have a granddaughter who's autistic, just borderlines. I mean, she's be 5 in about 3 days. When she walks into the room, her energy takes over the whole room, and she's also very verbal. She speaks. She's very a 5-year-old, but she thinks and talks like a 7-year-old. Is autism part of this change, this shift?
Autism is a spectrum of processing and analyzing information in an entirely different way than normal, whatever normal society is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing about giving kids Ritalin or drugs or trying to make them into normal is really unfortunate. That's why I created the Rainbow Children's Network. Is these kids have unique gifts, and it's our job to figure out how to communicate with them. And in fact, they will, if we have patience, they'll teach us new ways to do it. And in fact, a lot of them are beyond language. What do I mean by that? I mean, they're not restricted by the words that we use. They're already empathic. So they're already communicating through thought forms, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, her ability to dominate the room comes from her charismatic energy, which is greater than any words that she says. And her presence is already known when she comes through. She doesn't have to say anything or do anything. People know that she's arrived. So that's part of it. That's a non-verbal essence of who she be, right? And the words probably for her are difficult to try and translate what it is that she's feeling and seeing and experiencing into words because they're limiting factors. And she lives in more of an unlimited world.
Mm-hmm. But
and she's trying to put it through our societal filter, and it does like, oh, this doesn't feel, like it feels strange.
Yeah, and she's very, well, she's shines. Anyhow, Bronwyn Lister, she says, that fits me to a T, and yes, I've never fit in anywhere. I know Bronwyn, and she's dyslexic. So am I, actually. And a lot of my readers are dyslexic, and that's the older people. That's part of the symptoms of being precursors or pre-runners.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, we just did a map dowsing course on Friday, and 4 of us on the call were all dyslexic. We found that out. And we had an interesting time talking about understanding that we all process information completely different. And again, we see this as we came to the determination that was a precursor to what I was just talking about, which is nonverbal communication. Mm-hmm. And that we're much more comfortable about almost being able to sit in a room and non-talk and communicate together and trying to translate it into words. Or, and some of the symptoms are I'll be writing something on Facebook and think I've got every word in the right place, and then come back and read it and I've missed out, words in the sentence. And so there's all sorts of things. Another thing we talked about, which is sort of neat, is color therapy. I have an 80-year-old dowser friend who's up the road from here, and she works with color therapy. And for those that have children who can't focus on the printed word because it literally is floating off the page, if you take one of those acetates of different colors, just take the kid, find the acetate, and just keep putting it over the book, and you'll find that one of the acetate colors will just calm all the words down. They'll stop swimming around, and that the child can see and read quite clearly. So there's all sorts of techniques to help these kids, and even us older kids be able to deal with these unique ways of showing up on planet Earth.
Yeah. Oh, my kids, the youngest is 30, but all my kids came in slightly
weird.
Yes.
Wonderfully weird.
I like it, but it takes some of them a little bit longer to like.
That's right.
We have another question, Jen Taylor. Hi, how can we,
as empaths and healers, help in this?
I can't hear that. Could you say that again?
So it says, how can we as empaths and healers help in this world, particularly with regards to gun violence? Thank you. Jen's down in New York, so the recent gunfire affected her and her son quite badly, quite strongly.
Yeah, this is a difficult one. The thing is, it all begins and ends with us. So peace begins inside. So learning how to deal with our own emotions is really important. We're doing a book club right now, and this is we're using this book here, which is Letting Go. And this is Power versus Force. This is the last book that David Hawkins wrote before he died. This is really taking a map of consciousness from the lower emotions all the way through to enlightenment, and helping you learn how to process those emotions as you step up the ladder. And the process is really letting go. So the more anger, resentment, fear, doubt, shame, guilt, all those lower emotions are the ones that eat us up, steal our energy, and keep us in bondage and to fear. It means that we can be controlled by whoever wants to dominate over us, like what we call the matrix. So by learning how to process our own emotions and free ourselves by letting go, these emotions will dissipate by being with them, usually between 15 to 20 minutes. So by processing your emotions and coming to inner peace, so that literally you're unshakable. And that means that even something horrific happens beside you, you can still stay in your heart chakra and not be thrown out. So one of the ways of doing that is heart math, for example. I don't know if people have heard of heart math, but it's in training you to stay in your heart chakra. And by learning how to be in your heart chakra is really important, because those that are first responders, ambulance drivers, those that go to crime scenes, and those that have to do with violence need to be in their body and grounded, or they become part of the problem. So that's the first thing, is if we can manage our own emotions, deal with our own inner shadow work, the dark side of our beings, comes to terms with that's the step towards bringing about our own change and transformation. And as we heal ourselves, we heal the planet. So one of the things that I've done is I started what we're calling is clearing the planetary timelines of control. And so that's a dowsing protocol where we're clearing all those geomantic energy lines that control our thought forms, that keep us in fear and fear and shame and doubt and guilt, that make us feel unworthy or unloved or unwanted. And this is the way that we are able to be controlled on this planet by forces who want to control over or dominate the way that we show up and how we, what we do on this planet. So a lot of these shootings, in my mind, are orchestrated. They're part of raising our fear so that the government can clamp down, be more mind control. 5G is part of this. So staying out of fear is the most important thing. Otherwise, we're part of the problem. So that's a long-winded answer, but hopefully it gives some clues that this is some inner work that we could do it. And if we do it as a group, like in the Letting Go Book Club, we do it as a group so we help each other. If you can find a group of like-minded people that you can feel support from, that could be there when you're going through difficult times, then you're not going to be going into the craziness that leads to feeling unwanted, unappreciated, and getting you into white supremacy and all the rest of that, and wanting to take other people's lives or your own life, and all that craziness which comes from not fitting in. We don't fit in, but we fit in and we're okay. This is people that don't fit in and feel they got to be violent or they have to act out. We decided we don't want to act out that way. We want to act inwardly and change the way that we show up on the planet and make this a different way to be.
So Jen says, thank you, that's very helpful. Jen's actually a social worker with her master's, and she works with people all the time, and she's really good. I wanted to ask, what you said geomancy? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, we're doing a certification course right now called Boots on the Ground Geomancy. Geomancy is really the study of the earth energies, and there's energy that runs through the earth that is in the stress lines of the earth. It could be water, it could be the veins, it could be the crystalline structure. Here's a book, for example, it happens to be on my desk. I've taken over John Living's books, and this is one that he re-edited. This is called Earth Radiation. And so it says, this is research on 11,000 people in more than 3,000 places in 14 countries, how geopathic disturbances affect sleep, health, and school performance, which include leading to cancer, allergies, arthritis, insomnia, learning disabilities, and many other diseases and disorders. So if there's an energy line running through the property, I know there's like, for example, here's pictures of the bed, right? Energy linings running through the bed. So if it's a negative energy line coming through the bed and it's on your heart, it's going to adversely affect your heart. So if it's a geopathic stress line that's running through a town, what they've done in research in Europe has found that along that line, everybody will have the same symptoms. So if they had heart problems, they'll have heart problem house to house to house to house, wherever this line of energy passes through. So that's what geomancy is. It's how to clear these energies, how to discover and know these energies, and how to clear and work with these energies, how to work with sacred sites, how to create sacred sites, how to clear houses and buildings and properties and make them safe for humans and all of life.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the place I live in is under some kind of energy like that, because my health has been really restricted ever since I moved in here.
Well, let me just check. I'll check for you. So
Yeah.
turning into your house on a scale of 0 to 100, your house is like 50%. So, that's not very good. I mean, that's like, how would you like to wake up and have twice as much energy in your house than you have now?
That would be nice, actually.
So you need a house.
What I'd really like is a new house, but
Well, in the meantime, clear the house, the one you got. So you'd have twice as much energy. So what that means is, no matter what you do in the morning, whether how you brush your teeth, what water you drink, good food you do, meditation, all that, 50% of the energy you create in your house is going elsewhere. It's like having a leaky sieve. So closing that up and making it so that it's a sanctuary, a container for you to revitalize yourself and your loved ones is really, really important.
yeah, no, it would be. What's a safe level, or is there a safe level?
I just do it you can do that on a safe level, and there's all sorts of charts and graphs that you can use, created by John Living, and geopathic stress is it's not to one correlation, it's exponential. So the longer you're in a place that has negative energy, the more intense it becomes over the longer period of time. So if your bed's in a non-beneficial place, or if your chair and your desk is in a non-beneficial place, then you're going to have to be impacted more. So rather than figuring out, what is the right energy, I just say on a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being ideal, what is going on in your room or in your house or in your building or whatever. So I keep it really simple.
Okay. That's really, yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting. So we've got the programs up. Oh, and hang on. So Ana Louise Fernandez, how can I know if energy is being leaked from my house? And
all right, let me just tap into her house.
And she's from Mexico City.
All right, so if I'm tapping into her house is pretty good. It's about 80% clear.
That's good.
So that'd be 20%. So, I mean, that's not bad. I mean, it could be better, but that's not bad. Better than your house.
Yeah, a lot better. But Mexico City's on an old water.
Yeah, well, let's see about house the water. So is the negative 20% due to brackish water? Yeah, absolutely. So if she could picture in her mind's eye that any water underneath her house is not brackish or polluted, but that there's a flow in her mind's eye. If you imagine the energy of the flow of the water clearing, then that would take care of the geopathic stress. Let me just see if I'm correct with that. So yeah, so she could do it in her mind's eye. And part of it would be I would do something like this, I Tyhson Banighen, or whatever her name is, in my holy name, and communication with the element of water. Ask that it be purified and that all non-negative or non-beneficial energies be removed from the water under my house, so it's clear, crystal clear, and supporting all of life forms that inhabit this house. And I declare it so be it. It is done. So an invocation like that, with the intention of working with the water element, would be very powerful. And because we're anywhere from 60 to 80% water, depending on what part of our body we're talking about, we have the ability to commune with the water element very effectively, because we are a water being. And water loves to work with us when we ask.
So you were talking about John Livingston, and he's and I probably got his last name wrong because I'm
John Living.
name.
John Living, yes.
Living, and I know that he talks to the elementals. Do you have any communication with them too?
Yeah, I'm always working with the elementals. That was I'm working with, of course, the elemental water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm water dowsing, I'm always making sure that whoever I'm working with does ceremony before or immediately after I do the dowsing for water. And because, like I said, we are mostly water ourselves, so water wants to work with us, but we need to communicate with the water and express our gratitude and to explain to the water what it is that we want to use the water for. And do we want it for a greenhouse, and do we want to use the profits to, for a healthy family, and do we want to produce great vegetables? Like I'm talking about the water that I doused in Abbotsford, it was for a greenhouse, and so I was giving them examples of what, and they were East Indians, so they already are used to, what it is to pray. So I was just giving them some guidelines about, why do you want the water, and the fact that you're going to use it for vegetables that are going to make people healthy, and explain to the water how you're going to use it, and the water gets excited that it will be benefiting so much of humanity because it wants to be in service as well. It's in an conscious evolutionary process as well, right?
Yeah, it's like Emoto's work with water. So you were just talking about ceremony. Do you just do it talking to it, or do you do physical, or?
You can do it on multiple levels. I'm a Mayan shaman, or maybe I'm not a Mayan shaman. Let's say I've worked with a Mayan shaman for a number of years in Mexico, and I do Mayan-based ceremony. So that's one way that you can do it. But I think you can keep it simple. I just tell people to imagine what it is, the element that you want to work with is sitting in a chair across from you, and have a conversation with it. Pretty straightforward and simple.
So sorry, Anna Lou says, thank you. Camille Harrison, she's from Brooklyn, New York. Jen Taylor says, I would love to know that too about my house, if it's possible. I know I already asked a question. She lives, I think she lives in a apartment building.
What's her name again?
Jen Taylor. Here, I'll put it up. Jen Taylor.
Okay. So Jen Taylor's house is about 50%.
So you're the same as me, Jen. So can you tell from that, like Anna Louise, you could tell that it was water. Can you tell from dowsing, or do you just get an intuition? What is the main, like, electrical disturbance or whatever?
I get intuitively that it's EMF, electromagnetic frequency. So I think that you're close to some, either there's a wall of smart meters that are close to you, or there's transformers on poles that are too close to you, or you're in the sight line of a microwave station or whatever.
Or the 5G?
Yeah. So the number of ways of doing that is to ground it out with orgone generators.
Okay.
Or you can also, of course, you also want to up your own energy so that you're not adversely affected. I mean, the solution to all this is, as we raise our Kundalini or our bioenergy field, then we get less overwhelmed by the lower energies, right?
Okay, so I'm sorry, it's a little bit small for my eyesight. Carol Prytula, that is so interesting. Wonder what this energy is like in our house, and I don't know where she lives.
All right, I'm just going to tune into Carol now. I can actually read the comments now. So, all right,
okay,
so I'm screening like you do, but I can read them. So, okay, so Carolyn's house, it's about 50% too. So, I mean, if you're listening to this, I don't know whether people can go back and listen to this recording. Yeah, and I'm going to ask permission to put it up on my website and my YouTube channel.
No problem.
Yeah, so just go back. I can't remember how far we're into we're about 45 minutes in, I think. Aren't we somewhere around that?
Yeah.
So 45 minutes in, and by the way, I have a 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if people want to jump off of this and come to the healing hour, that would be fine too. Just head over to the extraordinary.
Can you put the I will put the information up on how to get there again.
I think it's already, I think I've given it to you. So
Yeah,
I don't have to.
it's at the top. I should put it at the bottom.
All right, very good. But
Okay.
to go back to what was the question? It was the house. So the house needs some work, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Camille wants to know about her. Did we do Camille's house in New York?
Camille. Yeah, Camille. That would be a good one to do, actually.
Okay, Camille. Yeah, hers needs some work as well. So yeah, what I was trying to say, and I remember now, is if you go either jump on the healing on the
She froze again.
This one and just click group, and in the file section, look for the short clearing. Download it and use it as a house clearing, or you can go over to my YouTube channel, and there's a house clearing there as well. Or you can go to my academy, and there's a short course for house clearing for $33. So you can get at it multiple ways, right?
Okay. Have you got time for one more?
Absolutely.
Okay. I wanted to go back to Bronwyn. She's talking about her emotion, how she feels not so secure. It says, it sucks when you think you have done really well and then someone says you're not confident, or so sick of hearing it. No wonder I like being a hermit now. Do you change things like this? And she's the one with dyslexia in New Zealand.
Yeah, well, I would, like a free session. I think there's a link there to book a free session, isn't there? And why don't we have a chat around that? I mean, I love the fact that, one, that she knows that there's a problem. I love the fact that she's smart enough to be a bit of a hermit and conserve her energy rather than going out there and putting on her armor and her sword and her shield to go do battle. I think I can help her feel comfortable in her body and get back out there and enjoy life and be the best she can be. Why not?
So Carolina says thank you. I think that's the last question.
Yeah, we just have the one comment of, I think we have lots of water running under or close to the house underground.
Yeah, Carolina says that too.
But other than
What's that? Say that again. I didn't hear that in the background.
So Carolina says, I think we have lots of water running under or close to our house underground.
Yeah, let me just check.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. Okay, and let me see, on a scale of 0 to 100, it's really good positive energy, so use that energy, talk to it, and ask the energy, the pure energy, to take away any negativity and cleanse it, right?
So Bronwyn says, thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Okay. And I think unless there's more people come on.
he doesn't have much time left.
You've got like five minutes to jump over. So why don't we close it? And my daughter has put up the information again.
All right.
So, but this has been so interesting and so informative. Thank you so very much for coming on.
Well, you're most welcome. You can always invite me back. I love answering people's questions. I love helping get them from where they are to where they want to be. And I always want to keep it real simple because I want to teach people how to do this for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, we will do that. I'm sure we will do. More people will jump on. What happens with this is that people for the next week or two will come back and watch it and probably get like 300 views and stuff like that. Especially if they find out how interesting you are.
All right, so give me the link and I'll put it on my YouTube channel and get it up to my tribe.
Okay, my daughter will do that.
Yeah, and don't forget, all those that are listening, if you head over to the Dowsing Energy Healing Close Facebook group, there's about 3,300 of us sharing resources and helping people learn how to dowse and do energy healing. So that might be a tribe that you want to join and participate in. All right.
So Carolyn.
Yeah, the crystals are very helpful.
Yeah.
And don't forget to bless them. And don't forget, just ask them if they'd like to go out in the full moon overnight.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, we're going to say goodbye, and thank you so much, Tyhson.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. It was lots of fun.
It was. I enjoyed it a lot. There's so much more we could ask. But with that, I'm going to say namaste, namasko.
Okay, don't forget to write those questions down and to ask me next time. All right, bye for now.
Bye.